welcome everyone. This is the Imperfect Homeowner by the Imperfect Podcaster. I'm Wesley Gheen, and today we're going to be just talking about pest control, pest management. You know, everybody has issues with that in their homes, especially this time of year. I have my good friend here, Wendell, with All Pest Solutions, and we're just going to chat back and forth a little bit about pest control stuff. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into this business?
Well, good morning. Thanks for having me on, first of all, Wesley. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I've been in business on my own 20 years. Been in the business since 97. Started with the world's largest, was a branch manager for Orkin for many years.
Okay.
And then went out on my own. And so, you know, God's been good to us. Started by myself with one truck, and, you know, we're at 20 trucks and growing.
Nice.
So, but yeah.
So this is a trade that you have to have a license, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, no different than yours.
Right. Okay. And then, so you have to go to continuing education because there's just stuff changing all the time when it comes to management, chemicals, and how to handle them and all that stuff.
Absolutely. Right? It's, you know, we carry a license like so many others. I mean, you know, we're a division of the Texas Department of Agriculture, so we're regulated by TDA.
Okay.
In the structural pest control division.
Okay.
And so, yeah, all of our guys have to have a license. You have to have a certified applicator, which is me and my son.
Okay.
You know, my son Jacob's 30. Been licensed in this business since he's 16. He's my partner.
Yeah. He's seen a thing or two.
Yeah,
huh?
Yep, he's my successor as well.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you know, we can give our people, our guys, their continuing education, which is CEUs as we call them, but we have to go and go to classes ourselves to get our applicator CEUs. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a regulated industry, just like a plumber, electrician, or whatever.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, cool. So let's dive into some pest control stuff. I know that when it comes to this time of year, it's getting a little warmer out there. These critters and bugs are just on the move. What is it? Let's see. We're now into April, middle April or so. What is it that we're seeing a lot of, that you're seeing an uptake in right now?
Well, you know, the interesting thing is that, you know, it seems like people can't move to Texas fast enough.
Right.
Okay, from everywhere.
Yeah.
And most of them have never experienced Texas from a insect perspective like it is here. And so, you know, I mean, spring in Texas brings all kinds of things. But I mean, when spring has sprung, I mean, Pandora's box opens.
Yeah.
Up. And so it's everything. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not light on the animal kingdom in no aspect.
Right.
In this market. But I mean, right now probably the most hot topic is termites. And so, you know, termites is kind of like the rapture. We don't know the day nor the time, but
right.
I can assure you, for over 100 years in North Texas, termites have swarmed 10 days either side of Easter Sunday.
Yep.
And Easter Sunday is this Sunday. So I mean,
right.
we took some swarm calls yesterday, and most people, you know, just don't know what a swarm is. Like, what does that mean? You know, and I laugh and tell them, well, when you experience it, you'll know.
Yeah.
But you know, it has everything to do with barometric pressure, nighttime temperatures, humidity. It usually happens, like right now. There again, it's, you know, storms are happening every day, every night, but it's usually after a rain. It's really humid in the afternoon, and that's usually when it unfolds.
That makes sense.
And you know, and what swarm season is when the termite colony produces winged members, and then that day when all those stars line up is when she will release them to go forth and propagate. And half of them are males and half of them are females, and the intent is literally to mate up and make new colonies. And if one pair, an average, pick a number, a swarm can be, you know, anywhere from 10,000 to 250,000 swarmers.
Okay.
If just one pair of them make it into the ground, then 5 years from now they got 1 million kids, and it's our best example of compounded interest over 1 million years.
Okay.
And so when most homeowners realize they have them is when they swarm and they've attacked their home, and that swarm happens in the home. and all of a sudden there's these flying, look like ants, if you will.
Okay, that's where I was just fixing to ask you.
You know, or blowing out in their house, and they don't know what in the world's going on.
That makes sense. So I guess we spend a few minutes on what they look like, because a lot of people, like you just said, think it's ants, right?
Yeah.
Because we've seen, is it the female queen bee of the ant colonies are the ones you can see flying sometimes. Now, don't they have a characteristic difference in the body versus an ant, like
Correct.
a termite?
So all ant species produce a wing member throughout a calendar year, okay? And so they all of them, you know, produce wing members, and they all fly, and they do the same type thing as termites, but North Texas termites is always in the spring, no other time of the year. And the difference is, you know, an ant looks like, and the best analogy I've ever come up with, looks like Betty Boop. They've got a figure, you know, we've got an hourglass figure on an ant, and that termite looks like me. He's got a head, and the rest of him's the same size.
Okay, so it's like one body type.
Yeah, you got a head and then the body.
Okay.
You got 2 segments versus 3. With wings or without, they you know, they're always defined that way.
Makes sense.
But most people think they're ants. But they're, you know, they're, again, a termite looks like a grain of rice. They're white, they're small, but when they fly and swarm, they're black with white wings.
Yeah, makes sense.
But you know, it is what it is, and it's very, very volatile when it happens, because it'll literally just wave across Texas. I mean, they started swarming down south weeks ago, and you can literally just kind of watch it as it unfolds, and it heads up north and stops where it stops. But you know,
it's based on those, the weather, the temperature, the barometric pressure, all that.
All
stuff
those
that
things.
come together.
All those things.
So let me ask you this: what are some stuff that a homeowner can look for before a swarm happens?
Well, there again, most people find out they got them because of the swarm, but you know, there again, I tell our customers, and there again, your customers and our customers, the same customers,
right?
You know, that we provide services and across all lines. I tell my customer, you should be able to make you a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning, and not, if you got to set that cup of coffee down to do something, you need to fix it. You ought to be able to walk the perimeter of your home while you're drinking your cup of coffee and do your own self-inspection, because 75% of the time termites tunnel up the outside wall of the slab.
All right.
Again, most of our homes in North Texas are slab homes. And if you've got slabs showing, that tunnel will tunnel up where they bridge the gap between earth and home and make the attack. And it looks like a dirt dauber's nest, if you will.
So it's like this highway of dirt.
Yeah, and if it's ants, then you'll touch it and it'll just crumble and the ants will just flourish.
Okay.
The termite tunnel is affixed. It's like mortar, but the mortar's running this way instead of this way.
I see.
You know, vertical versus, you know, horizontal, and it's running up the slab wall, and you won't just be able to knock it off. Okay. That's how most homes are attacked. You know, now if the house turns back and you've got some type of angle, in the corner is the ideal place. You know, but we're all bad about putting too much mulch, or we've got jasmine or any kind of ground cover, and it grows up on the house. And God made termites way more intelligent than we give them credit for. They will go where they're undetected, where the tunnel stays moist and they're unseen. But if you can't look at that slab, whether it be an inch or 5 inches, and the more slab you got showing, the better you are. If you can't see that and do your own inspection, and fix it where you can. But most of the time when we go out to the homeowner, they just had no idea. You know, it's obvious and apparent to the skilled eye, but once you know what to look for, it's really not that bad. You know, it's not that hard to see.
Yeah, that makes sense. So I guess, like you said, if we're out drinking a cup of coffee, or maybe even when you're talking about in the flower beds, I thought of maybe if they're in the flower beds pulling weeds, that's something you can make a quick look at around your slab and just see if you got any ants or you know, the termite tunnels that you're talking about. If you see any of those, then that could be a telltale sign you got something going on.
And then most homeowners, a lot of homeowners, I should say, just are out working in their flower bed, as most homeowners do this time of year. It's pretty, it's nice. They're doing all those kinds of things, and they'll be changing mulch or adding mulch or planting flowers, and run across something that looks suspicious. They're ants, they're something.
Yeah.
They boiled up something and they'll call, and a lot of times those are termites working right there in the mulch, right there in the dirt. They may not be on the house yet, but they're there.
Right. Makes sense.
You know.
Okay, so let me ask you this: when it comes to termites, I see you've got a device here that you brought. Now, this is a way for you to monitor activity around the house, right?
And control.
And
you
control
know,
it?
and
Okay.
so there's two real distinctive ways. I mean, you can do conventional liquid methods and do a conventional application, which is how we treated termites for 100 years in North Texas, or the new state of the art is a baiting system, and that's what that is. And so it's a monitoring / control device.
Okay.
This is made by Dow AgriScience. It's called Centricon. And so we put those around the structure, preventatively or curatively, and so that's basically what you look like, you know. I mean, all you see is the green lid, if you will.
Yeah.
We put those every 10 foot around the house. We come once a year and check them. This is the bait tube that's inside. It's treated with an active ingredient.
Okay.
And, you know, it gains control, keeps control, and that's how we manage that. It's the simplest and easiest way
Makes sense.
for both of us.
Right.
And, you know, one of the things that, if, you know, there again, our bread and butter customer is a residential quarterly pest control customer, you know, that we do general pest control for. When you do it preventatively, and we call it a bundle, you put that in preventatively. First of all, Dow allows us in a preventative state to literally sell it at half price.
Oh, that's cool.
Over a curative state. And so it's such a value to the homeowner to put it in preventatively and never have the swarm that we just talked about, or have damage, or all those other things that come along with termites. It's a win-win either way. Whether you have them and it's curative or preventative, you know, it's just a great way to manage it.
That's cool. That's pretty neat that there's actually devices out there that you can kind of monitor what's going on in your home instead of waiting to that day you're drinking your coffee and you notice, oh my gosh, what is that?
Yeah.
Because termites will do thousands and thousands of dollars of damage in a home that you'll never see.
Oh, it's insane the amount of, and the reason that homeowners insurance doesn't cover termite damage is because you couldn't afford homeowners insurance if it did.
I could see that.
You know?
I've torn into several houses over the years, and you like, especially around the window, it seems like that's where you see them a lot. Like, we ripped all the drywall off, and it is like powder.
Well, and think of termites on a home just like cancer in the body. It's the silent killer. Most of the time you see them, the damage is already done. They work from the inside out.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, and so you've got to stay on top of it. And you know, the problem we have is there's so many uneducated consumers that have moved to Texas that are unaware, and they'll spend money on a million things and never know the value of that one. You know, it's not, in my opinion, it's not hard to convince a homeowner to do a maintenance plan on your AC. That makes sense.
Sure.
You know, and that's your bread and butter too, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Is that maintenance and keeping an eye on it and being in that relationship. And it's easy to talk them into pest control, but they just don't understand the termite side.
Yeah, that makes sense. And this is good that we're talking about it. So hopefully the viewers can see that, you know, when it comes to termites, it's a big deal. So yeah, I think this is some really good educational things that when it comes to termites, we just got to know about. So I do want to spend a few more minutes and talk about another area that y'all are experts in, and that's wildlife management.
Absolutely. I mean, I speak with a tinge of pride and say we're one of the best in the business at that. Our sheet metal and exclusion tactics are second to none.
Okay.
My son, you know, created those from the ground floor up.
That's cool.
But like, for example, I mean, there again, we're building as fast as we can build in North Texas. We can't build anything fast enough. And when you take away from everything's habitat, things have got to go somewhere. And rats and squirrels are going to live. You know, Darwin's theory that life will find a way to sustain life plays out in the animal kingdom every day.
All right.
And they will live in your home. You took their home away from them, the fields and the forest, and they're going to live somewhere. And they just get in, you know. And when they get in, they take up residence, and they don't pay rent, but they live there.
Yeah.
And they do a lot of damage.
Yeah, that makes sense, because there is a lot of building going on around here. They're clearing out, you know, fields of trees and stuff.
You bet.
And you just see these rodents moving. So what are some stuff that a homeowner can be looking for when they're drinking that cup of coffee that are signs that they may have some rodent issues?
Well, sometimes outside it's really hard to tell.
Okay, so we need to be inside.
Yeah, I mean, usually, there again, probably the most easiest one be you go, if they're in the attic for any reason, or there again, if your guys are in the attic for any reason, as they're up there changing those AC filters or they're getting down Christmas decorations, looking for the trails, looking for the droppings, looking for the rub marks, looking for things that's been chewed on, because our roof rat population is insane in North Texas, and they work from the top down.
Okay.
So there's no signs on the ground. They're literally coming in from the top and working in.
Okay.
And if you're not up top or in your attic, you're not ever going to see that problem. Yeah, we have Norway rats and field mice and those kind of things that work from the ground, but where we get in trouble is the top, the roof rats from the top.
So what is some things that once they set up shop, the free rent, what is it that they're doing up there to our homes?
Man, there again, if we sat down and talked, and you and I both got a firefighter background.
Yes.
If I had, the fire marshal with us today, 4 out of 10 structure fires in Texas is caused by something chewing something in an attic.
Okay, so they're up there chewing wires.
Oh yeah, well they're trying to make beds. They're
Okay.
bedding, and then the other thing about rodents is they got to cut their teeth, and so they got to have something to cut those teeth. And Romex wire, if or just house wiring,
Okay.
will fit in their mouth and be strong enough or tough enough for them to cut teeth on. And before you know it, they've got into 2 wires, and we got a fire.
Okay.
And
Yeah, that
they
makes sense.
chew insulation off of your AC lines and drink from your pans, and so
Okay.
the commonalities between ours is
Oh, yeah,
it's endless.
It's crazy how much we actually mix when it comes to the air conditioning and pest
absolutely.
control.
Yeah, 'cause I mean,
I know the other day we were talking just even the where the copper lines that from the outside condenser go into the house and up to the attic. Would you call it the highway?
Oh, yeah.
It's a highway for the rodents.
Oh yeah, I mean it's a built-in bridge, man.
Yeah.
They just run right up that
Yeah.
and right in the attic,
Yeah.
and the rest. And then we have gone from copper to PEX, which is a revolutionary product of plumbing.
You're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
but it may double its size and not bust and freeze. But a rat can sense water in it, or a squirrel can sense water in it, and they will chew through it like butter to get water, and then flood houses.
And then it floods.
Yeah. But it's just insane that they set up shop and they start go in the restroom, and then there's just all kinds of issues.
Then you have that awful smell.
all kinds of things.
So if you go up in your attic and you're smelling some just ammonia type smell, you probably
Absolutely.
have some kind of rodent up there.
and that blown in insulation will have tunnels through it and all kinds of things.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so we just talked about how our worlds definitely meet when we're in the homes. What are some things that my technicians can look for that could help the homeowner out that we can let them know?
Well, we just talked about the biggest one is when they're in there doing your maintenance programs, which we recommend they do with you and they do with us, because we keep everything at bay, and not let big things build into small things build into big things. Is if they see those signs while they're up there changing filters or checking on your units, just let us know.
That makes sense.
They're outside, and there's fire ants in the condenser, or they're built up on it, or
That's a good one.
Those kind of things. I mean, what kind of units get burned up from ants getting in contacts.
Yeah, they will get into the contactors and definitely tear up some stuff.
And our guys do the same thing, man. That's they see ants on the condenser, they're referring you guys because we probably may have a problem already.
Yeah, that's a good point, because we'll need to get in there, shut power down, and really get into that component and make sure it's cleared out so it doesn't start a fire or anything. So that makes sense. So if we're in the attic and we notice that there's water in the pan, and there's a lot of feces from the animals that are up there, then that's something we need to let the homeowner know, like, hey, look, we do notice that you have something in the attic, and go up there. So, well, cool. We have covered a lot of ground when it comes to termites, wildlife in the homes, and of course general pests. You know, there's always some kind of maintenance that needs to be done. General, you know, just taking care of stuff in the home.
Yep.
And it starts with just that little 5-minute walk around the home while you're drinking your coffee in the morning, just to kind of see what's going on in your home.
Yep.
And know that there's people out there that can help you get there on what you need to do in the home.
You bet.
Right?
You
bet. So yeah, if y'all would, please like and share. We're also on YouTube as well. Go over there and like and share us as well. Give Wendell with All Pest Solutions a call if you run across one of these issues that you see. He is one of our preferred vendors. We have checked them. We vetted them out. We need you to do the same thing as well. I really appreciate you coming on with us today and just to have a little pest talk.
Absolutely, Wesley. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, it was awesome. Thank you. Have a good day. I always do weird stuff.